Welcome to Tar Heel Talks. I'm your host, Chad Mason, a UNC graduate and lifelong North Carolina resident who loves learning about the people who make this state great. Each week I talk to an inspirational leader with North Carolina roots so they can share the secrets to their success. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and this is the kickoff episode to Tar Heel Talks. The purpose of this episode is to basically give you a little bit of background on me, the host, and some of the reasons why I decided I wanted to start this podcast. So a little bit about me. My name is Chad Mason. I'm currently working in Charlotte, North Carolina in the banking industry. Graduated from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill very recently. And, starting a podcast is something that I've always wanted to do. It's something that I listen to daily, and I thought, I'm consuming all this information. I want to be someone that goes out and can produce something that other people can enjoy and learn from. The reason I decided to call the show Tar Heel Talks is because, like I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in this state. I've seen the transformation that it's gone through in the past couple of decades, and I've learned that there's so many great people in the state I've wanted to learn from, whether it's your local small business person or an executive at one of the Fortune 500 companies in the state. I always wanted to know what made them successful. I've always had a large ambition, ever since I was a kid, whether it was in sports and then eventually school and now in my career. And I really just want to learn from these people and see the lessons that they can offer, not just for me, but for everybody. And that is why I wanted to put it in the public format of a podcast. And there's a few reasons specifically that I think that a podcast is important, and they stem from examples in my own life. So when I was growing up, I was super into sports, big time football player. Eventually, once I got into high school, I was wrestling. But my largest ambition when I was growing up was, to play college football and eventually, like every young kid, get a shot at the pros. And as I got older, I actually played offensive line. And for those of you that don't know what an offensive lineman is, it's, this big guy up front and they're 300 pounds and they're blocking for everybody. So I saw that I wanted to do whatever it takes to get to that goal. And everyone I saw in that position was, these huge 300-pound guys. They can lift the world, but they're also, they're pretty hefty for sure. And I decided that I wanted to put on all this weight, and I did. By the time I was at the end of my junior year in high school, I was close to 300 pounds. And eventually, as I was doing some of the, summer rotation camps, and I kind of looked in the mirror one day and thought, I don't think this is the life for me. I couldn't even really recognize myself at that weight. I wasn't really happy with where I wanted to go. And although I loved football, I kind of wanted to start pursuing some other things. So I had no idea where to turn. And one of the places I did find were podcasts and YouTube videos and just scourging the internet for inspirational people. And I started following these influencers. And within the next year, I've lost over 100 pounds. So I've seen firsthand what it can do for me, not just from a physical standpoint, but while I was coming up too and playing sports, that's really what I put, unfortunately, all of my focus into. And my grades suffered. I'd always been a decent student. I'm a solid test taker, but I never really put that same effort that I had in my athletics into my academics. So I made a change. Once I decided I wanted to lose weight, I decided to put that same effort into other areas of my life. So going into senior year, I had a mediocre GPA, but it's probably like a 3.2 at a high school where the person that's in the middle of the class graduates with a 4.0. And I made it a goal of mine to not get a B the rest of that year. And I succeeded in that goal. My junior year of high school, I almost failed Algebra 2, and then I was passing chemistry and physics my senior year. And it really gave me the momentum I needed once I got to college. And since I decided to give up football and scholarships, which was a tough thing to break to my family especially, I kind of had to figure out what I wanted to do. And this is, again, where, I'm listening to podcasts and I'm watching, inspirational stuff, whether it be YouTube videos, things like that. And, not too often because I've obviously got to go out there and implement some of the stuff they're talking about. But I made it a goal of mine to keep the streak going. And I ended up going to school at UNC Charlotte, getting a 4.0 there every single semester. And that was through, basically just putting pedal to the metal, making some sacrifices, giving up. Don't get me wrong, I had my fun in college, but I definitely gave up some of the college experience in order to make that sacrifice to get great grades. And eventually I talked to one of my mentors who actually will end up being on the podcast, and he said, I'm talking to him about career advice, and I was really into finance and accounting, and I wanted to go investment banking, right? And they really only recruit from some of the top schools in the country. And he gave me the advice that I should try and transfer with my grades that I had to Chapel Hill, which growing up was never even a thought to me because only the top students get in there. And like I said, I graduated, even with that 4.0 senior year, I still graduated towards the bottom of my class. And on that whim, I decided to apply, and I got in. And going into my junior year there was definitely a tough transition, but I pushed through it. And I think my first semester I really struggled going from I hadn't gotten a B since my junior year of high school. In my first semester there, I think barely grazed a 3.2 again. And while that might not be so terrible for some, for me that was definitely a confidence killer. And I got down on myself, and it was definitely a really tough time. But through listening to these types of podcasts and going back to that thing where I'm seeking out mentors, whether it's in person or online, I think they both can help just as much. By the time I graduated from there, my last semester I was at over a 3.8 GPA. So that made me realize and gave me momentum for where I'm at now, where if you put your mind to something and you seek out mentors and you learn the right way to do it, you can do it yourself. And it's really all about just putting in the effort and having the right mindset. So as I started working, I'm trying to learn my job as much as I can. After graduation, I'm down in Charlotte, which was something I really wanted to be after doing an internship in New York. I was glad I'm home, but I still felt like something was missing. I had so many questions, and in my job, I'm researching companies and I'm seeing all these executives and business owners, and I'm like, man, I just want to ask them questions. I just want to be able to, see what they have to share. What am I missing here? And that's where the idea where I came up with I should start my own podcast. It's a great excuse, you could say, to interview some of these people and get questions for them. And then also put it on a public forum because I know how much podcasts have helped me, and I want to do the same to the younger generation coming up and hopefully document my progress along the way. So that's where we are today. And we have some great interviews coming up. I'm so just thankful for the generosity that some of these people have shown. I'm just this random kid cold calling on them, and they've agreed to be on the show just to help me out, with nothing in it for them. And for that, I will forever be grateful, and hopefully I can pay it forward one day. That's the goal. Anyways, on to logistics stuff. I have a website, tarheeltalks.com, a Twitter at tarheeltalks. And there, I really want you guys to leave me feedback because I am new to this. I know I can struggle probably saying my you-knows and my ums and pausing and things like that, but I'm hopefully will get better every single episode. And I just want this to be an interactive community type experience. Even if only my family and friends are listening to this, I want them to take something positive away from it. And, I really aim to keep this up. My goal is to get an episode out once a week and then write some blog posts about what I've learned from my interviews. And so far, I've already recorded a couple of the episodes that will be appearing on the first season, and I can say with confidence that I think they're really, really going to have some great value for some people. So follow me on Twitter at Tar Heel Talks, and please be in touch. I look forward to giving you a great episode of Seasons, and I will talk to you guys soon.